Um, well, for me, on a show that utilizes the talent of queer folk, trans folk,
Mm-hmm.
black folks, like people who are marginalized in ways in which current people who are judges on that show um, are not circumstances that they currently live in. Even if they did at some point, they are part of the upper echelon now. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Right.
hey, everybody, if you're still here with us, this is Reverend Dr. Juanita Bind'Em here on the line.
This is Avery. He has some pronouns.
And this is Call In, Call Out, the Drag Creme de Left after show where we talk about how problematic all the bullshit is on RuPaul's Drag Race. Um, I would like to go back to a conversation we hit on earlier at the beginning of the episode. Um, it's just about like the provisions that are being made for this show to record and
Mm-hmm.
profit all the money that this show makes every season.
Mm-hmm. So what is your major contention with that?
Are you there?
Uh-huh. I got
Can
you
you
want
hear
to
me?
hear me?
No, I didn't.
I said, what is your major contention with that?
Um, well, for me, on a show that utilizes the talent of queer folk, trans folk,
Mm-hmm.
black folks, like people who are marginalized in ways in which current people who are judges on that show um, are not circumstances that they currently live in. Even if they did at some point, they are part of the upper echelon now. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Right.
and I am looking for shows like this if they are going to profit off of these talented individuals, particularly during the pandemic and at a time where the political climate is gearing up to really get things done. That they would actually be a voice for what um, justice and jazz progressive behaviors look like. Like primary example again, like you know, they get tested for COVID multiple times a week. Um,
Mm-hmm.
where us everyday folk have access getting tested in general.
Right.
I
Especially don't
think
have insurance.
especially if you don't have, so there has to be some balancing that's done to even out that scale. For me, I was actually quite disappointed that when RuPaul's Drag Race premiered this season, that they did not announce some type of mutual aid fund for drag performers in the
Mm-hmm.
United States of America, seeing that they all, including girls from previous seasons, are struggling right now with resources. Um, I would have really loved to see some type of mutual aid fund or some scholarships to help up and coming drag queens with
Mm-hmm.
digital equipment so that they can do live shows,
Mm-hmm.
so they can get webcams and internet and whatnot. So, like everyone's not as equipped to transition to this digital world when there was already a gap to start with, but now it's even bigger. Um,
Yeah.
they
So
talked
the
about this briefly on Monet's show about like was it difficult getting ready, and Tamisha, who sews most of her costumes, was talking about
uh-huh.
how it was difficult for them to acquire the necessary materials
Mm-hmm.
to build their garments and their props and stuff. But Tina
Mm-hmm.
Burner was talking about how it wasn't difficult for her to acquire materials because
Mm-hmm.
she says, when you're from New York City, if you're a designer, you have a storage space full of extra fabric, and you're like friends with store owners and they'll let you come in and shop by yourself.
Mm-mm.
I don't think
Mm-mm.
everybody has that luxury to be able to
That's
go
not
in
everyone's reality.
you know and not just because they don't know designers, they don't live in a city where there's a costume shop on every corner.
Come on.
So I think that's something to be spoken about. And I would love to see the show going in that direction. Like they did that punk ass, we go donate $10,000 or $5,000 every time Sherry Pie win a episode. You know what I'm saying? Let's do some legitimate energy right here and raise some money for these local girls who didn't make it on the show who want their bills paid, you know?
Absolutely. It's like, let's be more proactive than reactive. Y'all only did that shit with Sherry Pie because it came out either before or early during the season that she was a predator and a creep. So now you feel like you have to, rectify that by like donating money and doing some form of charity. What would happen if you were more proactive in that sense? Like, what would happen if nothing had to go wrong, nothing went bad, and you said we're going to put together something for young drag queens, or we're going to put something together for young queer folk, um, to make sure that they can, be introduced to the art of drag or something like that. What would happen if you did some mutual aid fund? Even if we didn't know about it, what would happen if you did some mutual aid fund for the queens that you cast for season 13, UK season 2, whatever, to make sure that they had some help during the pandemic, to get ready for the show, because we know as viewers now, this is no tea, that it's expensive to go on Drag Race. This is no longer seasons 1 through 4 where the queens made their own shit and they were really innovative, and it didn't cost, people didn't go into debt to get on Drag Race. Nowadays, that is the reality of the show. So when we're talking about uh, pay inequity and how that relates to race and how that relates to filming this particular show, where they expect you to show up in runway-esque outfits for the main stage, like how does that translate? And
Yeah.
I think the
I
answer is
think
it doesn't. Like it doesn't, because
exactly.
they're not putting any like energy behind it, making sure that it's as inclusive as possible. And that's my other thing, not to take over your call in and call out, but that's my other thing. Like, to be inclusive is not to only include people of different racial and gender identities. It's also about the socioeconomic implications of that too. Like, how are we making this show inclusive to where we cast 12, 13 contestants and they can all compete to the best of their abilities,
Fairly.
because fairly, right, equitably. That's what
But
equity means.
how can we expect a capitalistic force and rich bougie ass RuPaul Charles to, but they should be thinking this way, but here we are,
They
you know what I'm
should,
saying?
yeah. Especially as a queen who started from humble beginnings and worked her way up.
Heidi
Um,
talked about this on her season. The whatever the tax filing season before Heidi got on, she made $9,000 that entire year.
so this is my thing. There has been a recurring theme on this show that shits on the black queens because they're not as well to do as some of the other queens. Ones that come to mind off top: Chi Chi Devane, rest in peace.
Right,
Monique Hart.
right.
All girls who said
Performed well.
verbatim, performed well, and said out of their mouths like, "I'm broke. I can't walk down the runway looking like kimchi because I don't have funds to do that." And to have people like RuPaul and Michelle be like, "Well, that's not an excuse. Money's not an
It's about
excuse."
money.
Yes,
It's not
it
about
is.
money.
It is absolutely about money, because you need money to perform well on this show, because you guys have tailored yourself as a capitalist endeavor to where you can't do well on the show if you don't look a certain way. And that all has to do with economics. Like, and I don't want to say like it's disheartening that they don't see it. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't see it. Um, but you almost have to, like, again. Michelle was speaking out about like trans girls, and if it was her show, she would allow trans girls to get on the show, and that's great.
But you
But
need to say that then,
you need to say it, one, and you need to provide the resources for them
so
to
that it
do it
can happen.
equitably. Yes. Yeah, the
Yeah,
the
that
the
bothers
pay
me.
inequity, that imbalance has always bothered me on this fucking show, because
Cause
we
you
know
gotta
how this
think
country
about
is
it.
set up.
One of my
Hmm.
favorite drag queens, a winner, fucking Bob the drag queen. Bob could not come on season 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, or 13 with the pack out that they brought with them on season 8 and have won.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you put Heidi in Closet on season 3, they would have made it to the top 4. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Someone like that. I really think that the girl should. I think there's something that can be done. First off, I think that there's a way to fashion the show where they are either they like tell the girls they got $5,000 a piece to spend. You can only make additional pieces with that outside of what you already own. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's ways that you can put these rules. And if bitches decide to go above and beyond that, cute, whatever. But at least the girls who didn't have it now have that $5,000
Now
to
they
spend.
have it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Um,
Or here's the money to get ready for the show. This is the only money you can spend to
exactly.
get
Period.
ready. Right. So take some of those cash tips away and divide it up and give it to everybody. So now they all have the funds to get ready for the show.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
also these girls, I'm thinking about during a pandemic, because they have to be away from home. Are they providing these
Pandemica.
women? Are they providing these contestants with uh, resources to live while they're away? Like they got
Probably
rent, they
not.
still got bills and stuff, and they're gone. They should get a cost of
Yeah.
living stipend. And you know they do get paid to be on the show a certain amount because it's illegal to have them there like without
But is
paying.
it
But it's
after the
just like
show or is it during?
during or whatever. It's like
Okay.
I don't know when they get the check, but I think they get paid like a minimum wage per certain amount of hours that they're there or whatever.
That's not
But it's
enough.
not substantial money. You know what I'm saying?
No. That's
And
like
I
them
don't
trying
think
to give
they
us $600 after 10 months
right,
of a pandemic. Like it's not enough.
right, and they don't get it at the. It's probably like that punk ass $600 that the government just deposited into our accounts. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? They
I didn't
should
get mine
legit
yet.
they can. I don't even want to talk about that because like independent, even how that's set up is fucked up because there's tons of people who
Very.
qualify still haven't gotten it because of just technology issues, problems with
Hmm.
filing taxes, etc. Dot dot dot.
Taxes issues. Yep.
But the I just there's more that Drag Race can be doing immediately, and that's what I keep talking about. I talk about this similarly at places of my employment. Like it makes no sense that like there's all these issues in the outside world, but inside this container that we have here, we have the complete power to subvert that here in this space. When the girls
Absolutely.
enter Drag Race, they should not have to experience that stuff because these bitches is rich. Okay.
Get into it.
Okay, they need to get their bills
Yeah.
paid for the month that they should each get a $2,000 living stipend a month while they gone, so they can pay their bills and make sure their kids and shit taken care of. You know what I'm saying?
And I know that franchise got the money. Like
Yeah,
we like people with sense. You can see the way that that show works and like how much money they rake in, even how much money they give away on the show. Y'all
right.
can redistribute that in a different way to make it more equitable, to make it more inclusive. And they talk about drag is political, drag is the version of Western ideas of gender, all that, which is true and is great. But like, let's take it up a notch. Like, let's not only subvert, white supremacist ideas of gender, but let's subvert white supremacist ideas of gender, race, money,
And
crime,
also,
violence.
the
Like
bitches is
let's do it
broke. We
all.
cannot subvert the gender stuff without the coin. Like the pay
It's
integrity,
all
all of that.
connected.
You cannot
It's all
separate these
connected
things. You know?
at all. But they try to parse it out and say that one issue is not connected to the other. Like the thing with Chi Chi, Devane, and Monique Hart saying that money is not an issue. When you're talking to two black queens, like pay inequity almost absolutely is an issue, especially when you expect me to walk down the runway in a Bob Mackie gown that I don't have the money to get or tailor to my body. Speaking of, we can move into my call out. Kamora Hall. I just
Okay.
want, and not only Kamora Hall, but like people in general, because this is so when she said that, and this is probably not fair, and I'm gonna clear it up after I say it, but it made me think of a little bit Paris is Burning in the way that um I forget her name, Janae Livingston, I think her name is the white woman that
Mhm.
produced that documentary, how
Yeah.
she tried to make it seem like the ballroom culture in and of itself was a replication of white aristocracy in America. Like that's what she tried to make it seem. She tried to make it seem like the beginning and the end of ballroom culture was just trying to emulate wealthy white people. Which that's a part of it, but that's not ballroom in and of itself,
No, and
right?
that
So
representation is symbolic of a much greater theme of being people who are chosen first, who are seen as
yes,
worthy. That's what it has to do with.
that that's what it has to do with. But that was not. Uh, accurately or responsibly translated in her documentary, and that's why
Right.
that documentary gets a lot of flack from intellectuals and scholars like Bell Hooks and other people, right?
Well, they
Uh,
just like that documentary, just like Drag Race, because we are so scarce for our people being able to have what they need to really do our shit. We have to. How else would we have seen even a glimpse into this world if that film wasn't made though? But at the same, and then that story is told in a way that is really perverted. So like you have even more of a
yeah,
responsibility to do right. Because
absolutely.
if the only time I can turn on my TV and get nothing but pure ass faggotry for fucking 2 hours is RuPaul's Drag Race, and you need to do it right.
You, I say this all the time to my friends, to my family. If you're gonna do it right. Like, do right by it. Damn. But yeah, so when she says I am feeling my and like, girl, you got to read the room. This is 2020, well, 2021, but I'm assuming they filmed it in 2020. After all of the racialized violence and terrorism and bullshit that we had to contend with all year in 2020, read the room, honey. The last thing you might want to say is I'm feeling my white woman fantasy.
But
Like,
also,
just
bitch,
given the time we are in, right?
it's so much you could have said though. You should have said like, "I'm just living
So
in a
much you could have
luxury,
said.
baby. I'm living in," you know what I'm saying? She could have said my crazy rich Asian fantasy. She could have said anything else.
So there's a play on so many things, but you grabbed the low hang where you attempted to grab the low hanging fruit, and you said,
I
"I'm
really,
feeling my
honestly,
white
I
woman
would have rather her just
fantasy,"
walked in
and
and called the other girls broke ass bitches.
yeah, but like I'm ugly, y'all. I mean, y'all ugly, I'm not. Like something like something like
Yeah, be
that. Like,
like,
girl, but you have to like no. And like I said earlier, just because you're wealthy, just because you're a rich white woman, does not make you sickening. Does your drip is not intensified by that? Like that doesn't make you better than anybody. It might give you the coin to repurpose a Bob Mackie gown that you got at an auction, but it does not make you sickening. It does not make you worthy. I think in her Meet the Queen, she says, "I'm so validated to be here." You know, that does not give you validation.
right,
Um, it was just a very like problematic and like just like it was not even like I wasn't like offended. I was just like annoyed. Like
yeah,
2020, this is still our gauge of race, gender, and economic, politics. Like this is what we still doing in this moment, especially after the year we fucking had. Like 2020 was tumultuous when it comes to race relations, and here you go walking into Drag Race, a show that you know is going to be viewed and criticized by people with queer politics, not saying queer as in gay, queer as in, you know,
right,
uh, left of center and not norm.
right.
You, as a person of color, just perpetuating this idea that white means better, or that the cultural property of drip and wealthiness belongs to whiteness. Like, girl,
Well, it come from the
tired,
top. Like RuPaul is still living in the
tired.
delusion of white supremacy. So
Very that, very that. But like, these people are grown. Like you are on Drag Race, and I'm sure you respect RuPaul and what she has done for the art form. At the same time, you are grown. So just because you are on, like, it reminds me of people like the Vixen and other folks who come in with their own, who can respect what RuPaul has done, but also come in with their own politics and understand how
yeah.
that shit is not great holistically and
Honestly, I'm
structurally
waiting
and
for a
stupid.
season when the girls get on there and they call RuPaul and them out on the runway. Just be like, look, we've been back here and Untucked
Mhm.
arguing with each other about the decisions y'all making, and we shouldn't even be arguing with each other. It's y'all.
We
One
should be
say A,
talking to
y'all should say
y'all.
the
Yeah.
D. While y'all keep saying A, B, C, and D.
That is what, and like we can't blame them. This is a competition show. You don't want to piss the people off who can have the power to send you home. But that is the what
Your
you're
mic
talking
is
about
coming
is
in
the
and out. Where you at?
I'm in my office.
I can't hear you.
Let me take. I took my headphones out. I'll make sure my audio is better next week. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Um, that is low key. Not low key. That's high key. What I wish Widow Von Du would have done when they were give her all the negative critiques. The episode she went home when she
Right.
did just fine.
Yep.
Even like she got negative critiques maybe 2 weeks in a row. She was in the bottom 2 weeks. The first week was with Jan, and then the next week was with what's her face, Jackie, when she did just fine both of those weeks, and they were projecting all of this like inner saboteur bullshit on her
Yeah,
when
that
she
was
was
all
doing
the
just
edit. It
fine.
was all the edit. Like,
Yeah, it was all the edit and it was all the critiques. Like y'all wanted Widow to go home at this particular time, so you engineered a way for her to go home when she was actually doing really well.
I am a Widow Von Du stan. I think Widow did amazing.
She
That bitch
did.
came in there week one talking about coming in here to serving Aphrodite. Okay, KCM is where you can find me. All right.
She was in my top four, and she should have made it to the top four
Oh my
had
God, she
it
was my
not
first
been.
round draft pick in my motherfucking fantasy league.
Yeah, I mean, I got to fantasy too late because they cut it off at a certain amount of people, so I couldn't participate. But she would have been in my top four too. Like she would have been in my top four fantasy league because she did really well. And like people talked about her looks and whatnot. I'm like, her looks were just those.
Oh, her runways were just fine. They were great runways.
She looked great on her runaways, and she performed down
I love the way that
the
she
week.
presents her body. I love her makeup.
Yes,
Her skin is flawless.
proudly. Even in confessionals, just like I was tweeting her like, drop the skincare routine. I need to know what it's giving.
And the bitch did a jumping, sliding, backwards split.
Listen, she what Yvonne do is everything, and
Yes, bitch, I might be.
the way they projected that shit on her, and like at least the way that it was filmed and edited, it almost seemed like they projected, and then like she believed it. Like they forced her to believe all these negative things about her that were untrue. She was doing just in that fucking presidential debate challenge. Her jokes were
Gigi should have
funny.
been in. Gigi should have lip sang. Period.
Gigi and Sherry.
Should have both been in the bottom, and that would have been a perfect time to send that bitch home.
Sherry, yes, definitely. Because Gigi would have turned. I mean, they both would have turned it, but because like Sherry Hall is a decent drag queen. No one's taking that away from her. Um, but she's problematic. She's terrible. like, um, but yeah, that would have been a perfect time for Gigi to send her ass home. But they were
Yes.
protecting them both so much.
Oh,
Like
they were
they,
so
they,
insulated in that motherfucker because
yeah,
actually, after Gigi won her third challenge, there was a severe decline in her performance after that, and they kept giving her
mhm,
more and more chances to show her greatness. But other people are clearly not extended that same grace, you know?
right. And like again, desirability has a lot to fucking do with it. Like Gigi is tall, she's skinny, she's white, she's conventionally attractive. That gave her a upper hand. Not to say that she's not a sickening drag queen because she is, but the fact that you were viewed as desirable definitely helped.
Right. And then
Right.
this is not a Gigi problem. This is the fabric
This
of
is
the show.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, I think that's something we should probably name plainly. Is that when we're talking about specific queens, this is not a hit on that specific person. It's talking about structural institutional issues that happen to manifest in one particular person.
Hold on 1 second, y'all. We got a message on our thing. I want to play it. Let's see what it say.
Trump or Biden? Because y'all talking about politics. Trump or Biden?
Uh,
Girl,
now who is the cowboy? Listen here, cowboy.
you are on the wrong program.
Listen here, cowboy. We ain't for neither one of them motherfuckers.
You are on the wrong program, sir. Exit stage left. Thank you.
We are radical abolitionists, leftist ass motherfuckers. I don't believe in either one of them motherfuckers. I say tear the shit down. That's my answer.
Did you see? I forget the girl's name. It was some activist. I think she was. Uh, I'm not sure of her race or her name, but she was on a talk show, and she's a communist. So this is when Obama was in office, and like some white people were talking, like she was critiquing Trump, I think, and some white people were like, "Well, if Obama did it, then you have a problem with it, blah blah." And she was like, "Fuck Obama! I'm a communist. I'm literally a communist. Like I don't give a fuck about him either."
Right.
So that question just reminded me of that. Like
And that's the answer, cowboy. All right.
you were on the wrong program. Sorry.
He just wanted to know Trump or Biden. He wanted to know Trump or Biden. And I won.
I
How
mean,
about
and that
that?
question is almost inconsequential because somebody has already won and lost that fucking election. So, like, that is neither here nor
Right.
there.
The U.S. population has spoken. Okay.
Listen, that got nothing to do with us. White people have spoken, and y'all chose who y'all chose.
Y'all chose who
So
y'all chose.
that got nothing to do with me.
All right, now have a good night, cowboy.
Yes. Okay, so that's what I had to say about Kimura Hall. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
reorient your idea of luxury and race, and maybe we can have a conversation.
and honestly, like I don't know what's wrong with people's brain. Like, if I'm talking about luxury and opulence, bitch, I'm talking about myself. Like, I'm not about to be a white woman. The fuck,
Yeah,
hilarious.
you got your own culture. You got your own legacy of luxury and like you got your own legacy of dopeness and poise and all that. Why wouldn't you reference that?
Right.
So I
Okay.
best of luck. I don't know. Somebody tweeted as the show was going on, somebody tweeted like I can tell Jada and Kimura is from the same house. And I was like, I can't. I sure can. I was like, Jada's stunning and dope. I was like, but
Oh,
she's also likable,
I'm
like and
almost
talented and
100%
humble.
sure too that the hair Kimura had on was made by Jada's partner. That hairstyle, like Jada's partner styles hair like that, and I'm almost
Ooh.
100% sure.
So I'm glad you. This is like completely off topic, but kind of related. I'm glad you brought up Jada and her partner because at one point we're definitely going to have a type conversation about desirability and who was partnered with who on the show. Again, this is a written piece that I have in my drafts that's just waiting for someone to pick it up because I'll never forget that night when Jada was talking about her boyfriend and it revealed that he was black. And everybody, all the black queer people that I know that are fans of Drag Race, text me or I text them, and we were just gagging because he was black. Because most of them are dating white people. So that we're gonna put a pin in that. I'm sure to come up on the makeover challenge.
Oh yeah, we should do desirability
So
now. Yeah.
yes, I'm sure. I'm sure it'll present itself again on the makeup challenge
Well, baby, you know
episode.
what? If don't nobody pick up that lovely article, you should release it on our Patreon. It'll be set up in just a few weeks.
Come on, Juanita, that's a good plug. So you want to talk about our Patreon a little bit?
Yeah, all right, everybody. So, this is the Drag from the Left season 1, episode 1 after show called "Call In, Call Out." This is a radical leftist, black as fuck, queer as fuck, all the shit digital series that will be streaming live from Stereo. Turn your background down. Come on, now I'm talking to the people.
Sorry, mine.
Um, that will be streaming live from Stereo every Sunday at 6 p.m. And we will
Negro
also,
time, color folk time.
yeah, Eastern time. We will also be releasing exclusive content onto our Patreon, which will be live very shortly. We'll let you all know when that's happening. Where the after show will be there, guest drag queens from the city of Cleveland and the greater state of Ohio at large. Maybe some couple of performances. Avery will be releasing exclusive previews to essays and pre-published works. Giving like critical analysis of these topics. You get to see me in drag, Miss Juanita Bind'Em. And it's going to be fun. But in the meantime, we'll have tons of free content for you all here on Stereo, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, on all the shit. So as the weeks come out, we'll be rolling things out, and we hope you stick around to kick it with us.
Yes, please hold us accountable. If we do not release on the day we release, feel free to cuss us out. Because this is something like, of course, this is something that was just like fun, something we can do for like during quarantine, but also, like I said, if we're gonna do something, we're gonna do it right. So we want to make sure that, especially if people are like subscribing and like waiting for shit, we want to make sure we get out the same at the right time.
Right.
Um, so
All
I
right.
think that's a wrap for episode 1.
This is episode 1, season 1 of the after show. Call in, call out. Thank you all for tuning in with us. My name is Reverend Dr. Juanita Bind'Em.
I am Avery. Share
And
this
you all have
shit.
a
Make sure y'all
great.
get your friends on. Tell a friend. Tell a friend. Tell a friend.
Oh, yeah, but we gotta do some giveaways and shit. We got connects. We gonna do what we gonna do. And
Rookie
y'all enjoy the
shit.
rest of
Rookie
y'all
shit.
weekend. Have a great Monday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.